your goals and needs.
Sounds good.
Can you help with estate planning?
Yes, we have a team of specialists who can help you with estate planning, Social Security, investment income, and more. We'll get to know your whole financial picture and help keep you on the path to a comfortable retirement.
And your fees?
We have a simple, transparent fee that's a percentage of the value of your portfolio. So we do better when you do better.
I feel better already.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com/different. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
Exactly, Stephen A. He's been here for 10 years, and we're still trying to figure him out. The Justin Kenner Show, weekdays at 3 p.m., right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. You want hot takes?
No, I'm not going to apologize to Ryan Day. Everything we said about Ryan Day up until the playoffs was true.
Not bad. Come on, Kenner. You can do better than that.
To be fair, of all the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, Joe Burrow is the least accomplished.
Getting better.
1,000,000%. I 1,000,000% believe that the Dayton Flyers are afraid of the Wright State Raiders. That's why they come up with every excuse in the book not to play them.
There it is. The hottest take of them all. It's the Justin Kenner Show, presented by Frickers, live on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Well, after some much-needed time off, I am back. I'm excited to be back, and my goodness, this is my favorite time of year, or at least we're getting closer to my favorite time of year. It's my favorite time of year eve, if you will. NFL preseason officially kicking off, technically kicked off with the Hall of Fame game, but the real action gets underway starting this week. A couple weeks of this, of course, and then, of course, the regular season's here. But, you know, with the Reds still mathematically in the hunt, we'll talk about them coming up here in a moment. I know a lot of you have given up on them, and that's fine because that's why the NFL season is here. That's why college football season is here, and that's why we get a chance to talk about those other sports once the Reds. I've always said just the Reds need to do their job, and they need to not have the season be wrapped up by the end of April. If they could just hand us off into, to late July, early August. They've done that. For everyone that's mad at the Reds, I'm not mad at the Reds. They have done exactly what I've asked them to do. Stay relevant long enough to just hand the baton off to football. I mean, for me, my content calendar is like it's they just need to hand off the baton and just keep on running, keep that race going. It's all about football now. We will talk some Reds coming up around the corner. The Reds going to be in action coming up here in just a little bit. We're going to talk about the preseason. I've been off for a few days, so I'm getting caught back up with everything. But Zach Taylor has said that we will see Joe Burrow and the starters in their preseason week one or their week one preseason matchup, however you want to talk about it. But we're going to see the starters. How you guys feel about the starters playing in preseason games? We'll talk about that coming up around the corner. Reds in action tonight at the White Sox. With Rhett Lauder on the mound. In fact, they're going to be going up against, Castillo on the mound. Luis Castillo, a former Red. They'll be going up against him coming up later on this evening. So looking forward to that matchup when it's all said and done. We'll have that for you right here on 1410 ESPN Radio, 7:40 the first pitch, 7:10 pregame coverage will begin. But I want to open up with some Ohio State talk because a lot's being made. Look, anytime I have an opportunity to dunk on that team up north, that cheating program up north, I definitely love any opportunity that I have to dunk on said team up north, right? And there's been a lot of talk of Ohio State, and there's been a lot of talk of that team up north and the rivalry and the game and what it means and what it should mean, what it doesn't mean, this, that, the other. The bottom line is you guys have known my take on this, which is what it's kind of put me in a tough spot that, am I going to agree with Bryce Underwood when it comes to his view on this Ohio State-Michigan rivalry? So a lot's been made of this. Michigan quarterback Bryce Underwood on how different the Ohio State game is from any other. Bryce Underwood says that it's just another game, just with guys in a different color jersey. That's how I see it. And, of course, everyone is piling on and just dunking on him. You could dunk on him because he's Michigan's quarterback. You could dunk on him because he underperformed last year. Might be very much so overrated. You could dunk on him for a lot of reasons. But if history has taught us anything, is that this game, although it does mean an absolute ton, and probably is in the eyes of everyone, the number one rivalry in all of sports, I think this is one of those things where we've been conditioned to just jump on him because he's saying something that we've been conditioned to view differently, even though I don't know if we all truly view it that way. Look, we just saw in recent history, Ohio State just won a national championship 2 years ago, all while losing to Michigan for the 4th straight year. 2 losses to Michigan before that. Ohio State didn't not win a national championship because they lost to Michigan. They didn't win a national championship because they couldn't just get one single tiny stop against Georgia. Had they beat Georgia in the semifinal, they go on to rout TCU for a national championship. In fact, we'd be talking about Ohio State 2-0 in national championship games while losing to Michigan. I mean, that's how far that this rivalry has come. And what I mean by how far it has come to the point to where you no longer need one another to technically accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. Right? You no longer need Michigan to accomplish what you want to accomplish. We've seen and witnessed Ohio State win a national championship while losing to Michigan. We saw Ohio State beat Michigan last year and not win a game after. They beat Michigan. Awesome. Great. Cool. You lost to Indiana and got physically dominated in the Big Ten championship game and then didn't even look that much better against Miami, who I and everyone thought they were going to take care of Miami pretty handily. They got punched around. But hey, you beat that team up north. It was a successful season, right? That's all that matters is beating that team up north. So Bryce Underwood is getting beat up. People are piling on him. They're getting upset with him because it's just another game. Look, I'm never going to say that the Ohio State-Michigan game is just another game. But at the same time, my biggest problem with Ryan Day and the program, especially as those losses started to pile up, is I do believe that game that we've been making a little bit too much of it. In fact, making it the number one priority when that's not really how this should work. Just like any other sport, it's about championships. In baseball, the Reds fans, we hate the Cubs. We hate Cubs fans. If the Reds would go if you could pick losing every game against the Cubs throughout a calendar year and making a deep run into the playoffs, or not making the playoffs but beating the Cubs in every single game throughout the season, which one would you pick? We're not stupid. We all know. We hate the Cubs. The Cubs drive us all crazy, right? But we're gonna pick not beating the Cubs at all if it means going on a playoff run and having a chance to win a World Series. It's not a difficult question. The Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, you guys hate the Cleveland Browns. You hate the AFC North, but we've seen the Cleveland Browns throughout the Joe Burrow era dominate Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. It's meant nothing. The Bengals have been to a Super Bowl. They've been to back-to-back AFC championship games. The Browns have never prevented the Bengals from doing anything other than it just pisses you guys off that the Browns have had success against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. But overall, the Browns have never prevented you from doing anything of what you've accomplished to do. So, look, I sit back and I say, yes, we hate our rivals. We want our rivals to fail. But at the same time, I don't hate any of my rivals more than my passion for wanting to see my team succeed. So while Bryce Underwood is getting dunked on and everyone is upset with Bryce Underwood because he's not respecting the rivalry, look, it's going to be a bad look for him when Ohio State wins for the second straight season. It's going to be a bad look for him when he continues to underperform because I think he's a very overrated quarterback. We thought that when he was coming into college football, and it was on full display last year. My only problem with him saying something like this is it would have been very easy for him just to regurgitate the talking points that have been brainwashed and beaten into our brains, since the time we were little. From the time they step foot on campus, they've all been constantly told that, hey, this rivalry means more than anything. And even if it doesn't mean more than anything to you, you just need to say it does so that it's not a distraction. This has become a distraction. And the problem is Bryce Underwood is not a good enough quarterback to overcome this type of thing. Bryce Underwood, it's not like he was the quarterback of Michigan's national championship team. For him to come out and say, well, look, we respect the rivalry. We can't stand Ohio State, but to us, it's just another game. For us, it's all about the playoffs. For us, it's all about Big Ten championships. For us, it's all about national championships. If you have the pedigree to be able to stand on that platform and say that, then great, but you don't. You lost to Ohio State last year. In fact, Bryce Underwood, you're the one that snapped the 4-game winning streak that your program had against Ohio State. So you're responsible for that. You played horrible against them. You've underperformed. You snapped the winning streak against Ohio State. And really, a lot of people are sitting back kind of wondering just how good you are. Will you live up to expectations, or is this going to be another one of those, well, when they're not cheating, they're not very good type of situation? That's going to be the big thing. So that's my problem with Bryce Underwood with what he said. I actually kind of agree with him. And what I mean by that is I know that Ohio State, Michigan is not just another game. That game feels different than any other game. So it's not just another game. But losing to Ohio State is just as costly as losing to Penn State. If Michigan loses to Oregon, that loss is just as painful as losing to Ohio State. You should want to go out there and beat all the biggest and best programs in your conference. So, look, that's how I view it too. It has sucked watching Ohio State struggle against that team up north for years, but to me, that hasn't been the problem for me. It's been the fact that they haven't had success in the playoffs and national championships until they won one a few years ago. That's all I care about. That's all I care about. I just want my team to compete for national championships, make the playoffs, compete for national championships. And if you beat Michigan along the way, then so be it. And I think Ohio State, they are a better program than Michigan. They were a better program than Michigan even during the 4-game losing streak against Michigan, because we all know the cheating that went on and we all know the lengths that Michigan went to try to stay at the top. Other programs don't have to do that to stay at the top. Indiana didn't have to do some scheme, cheating scheme with the Connor Stallions to beat Ohio State last year. They very well coached, just as fast, just as strong, better. Good for Indiana. Good for Miami. No cheating scandal. All right. No sign stealing. Right. No scandal that's going to hype that or whatever. It was just they were the better team. Michigan was never the better team the right way. They won because they cheated, and it shows. You're seeing it with their players in the NFL. All this, JJ McCarthy, all this, even though I kept telling everybody, hey, if Michigan had Joe Burrow as their quarterback, they wouldn't only pass the ball 10 to 12 times a game. They would pass the ball. They were telling you, all right, that he wasn't a great quarterback, and he's being exposed in the NFL. A lot of these guys are. Michigan was exposed as cheaters. That's what they were. It was all smoke and mirrors. And they did it because they had no way of beating Ohio State in a fair matchup on the field. And that's what makes that rivalry so intense. That's what makes it so entertaining. But at the same time, losing to Michigan doesn't cost you anything other than the bragging rights, right? Beating Michigan technically doesn't do anything because they beat Michigan last year, didn't win a Big Ten championship. They beat Michigan last year, didn't win a damn playoff game. Lost to Michigan 2 years ago for the 4th straight season, and then they'd go on to beat Tennessee. They'd go on to beat Oregon. They'd go on to beat Texas, and then they'd go on to beat Notre Dame. Dislike your rival, can't stand your rival, do all that stuff, but to sit there and say that game is any bigger than it's just not. Big Ten championships, playoff games, national championships. That's all that matters. All right. Ohio State has Michigan on the schedule this year like they do every year. Great. Oregon, to me, is the biggest game on the schedule for Ohio State this season. Michigan, you want to beat them? Yes. I want them to beat USC. I want them to beat Indiana. But if you want me, in fact, that's what we're going to do. We're going to step away because I'm curious people's thoughts. 937-518-1410. Michigan, it's the biggest game on the Buckeyes schedule every year. I disagree. If you had to rank the biggest games on the Buckeyes schedule this year from most important to least important, and maybe we don't have to do that because I don't want to rank all 12 games. We only have a couple hours show here. The 3 most important games on the Buckeyes schedule this season. I want to hear from you. 937-518-1410. What are the 3 most important games on the schedule for the Buckeyes this season? I'm here to tell you, Michigan is not in my top 3 games for the Buckeyes this season. I can't wait for the Ohio State-Michigan game. It's always just a different feel and vibe. I get that. But I don't think it's the most important game on the schedule. In fact, I don't even think it's one of the 3 most important games on the schedule for the Buckeyes this season. 937-518-1410. I'll take your calls. You can text that exact same number. I want to know the top 3 most important games on the Buckeyes schedule this season. Who are they? 937-518-1410. More of the Justin Kinner Show when we come back.
T-Mobile is launching something no other wireless network offers. Introducing Nothing. Pay nothing today and walk out of the store with a new phone.
What did he say?
Nothing.
You definitely said something about nothing.
Exactly. Go to T-Mobile, pay nothing up front, and leave with a new phone.
Wait, nothing rules.
She gets it.
Hey, thanks for nothing.
For the first time ever, switch to T-Mobile, pay nothing. No taxes, no fees, no money down. And walk out with a new phone. There are 250 reasons to choose T-Mobile, and now nothing is holding you back.
On eligible devices with qualifying credit plan and 36-month finance agreement. Create the deck of your dreams with Menards. Build your outdoor project from the largest in-stock selection of AC2 lumber and thick decking. All pressure treated for enhanced durability. And it's easy to load in our drive-through lumber yard. Plus, get free estimates with our easy-to-use deck design program. Available in-store or on Menards.com. Save big on AC2 pressure-treated lumber and thick decking. Plus, check out our weekly flyer online for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is fast for cash. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, commercial properties. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Raise your hand if you're excited about feeling older faster than you should. No takers? Yeah, didn't think so. Ongoing pain makes you feel older than you are. But here's the good news. QC Kinetic patients here in Dayton are getting relief, feeling younger, jumping back into life full speed, and it didn't happen in an operating room. The QC Kinetic medical professionals use the latest regenerative treatments backed by real science, treatments that take the tiny, powerful healing tools inside your body, concentrate them right where you need relief. That's how Mike is training for a marathon instead of giving up running. Patrick's golf game is on fire again. Kathy walked around Disney with her grandkids. No pain. All real QC Kinetic patients. The sooner you start treatment, the sooner inflammation eases and the sooner joint damage slows down. Because no one signs up for feeling older faster. Find out if you're a candidate for QC Kinetic regenerative treatments. Your visit and consultation is free. 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Do you have trouble getting in and out of the bathtub? Are you afraid you'll slip and fall entering or exiting a tub? Safe Step walk-in tubs can transform your bathtub from an area of concern to a calming refuge. Call them today at 1-800-731-4558 and save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs and showers are proudly made in Tennessee and offer an ultra-low step-in, avoiding that difficult climb over a traditional bathtub wall. They also offer a variety of therapeutic benefits that may help soothe your aching muscles and joints, increasing your mobility, boosting your energy, and improving your sleep. Safe Step walk-in tubs are designed to easily fit your existing tub space and are often installed in as little as one day. Just dial 1-800-731-4558 today to save $1,600 and receive a free shower package. That's 1-800-731-4558 for a free no-obligation consultation and to save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs. Safety never felt so good.
Are you tired of just being a number? Platinum Express in Dayton treats you like family because you are. Now hiring over-the-road company truck drivers, owner-operators, and teams. Platinum Express has no-touch freight ready to move with consistent miles and excellent benefits. Platinum Express has local drivers to assist with load delivery and real dispatchers who pick up the phone. Call Mina at Platinum Express today at 937-604-8250. That's 937-604-8250.
Hi, how can I help?
Well, my husband and I feel like we've outgrown our current money manager.
I see.
Our lives have changed, and we need something more than just mutual funds to help us in retirement.
She's right.
I hear that often. At Fisher Investments, we'd start by getting to know you, your finances, family, health, lifestyle. We tailor a portfolio around your goals and needs.
Sounds good.
Can you help with estate planning?
Yes. We have a team of specialists who can help you with estate planning, Social Security, investment income, and more. We'll get to know your whole financial picture and help keep you on the path to a comfortable retirement.
And your fees?
We have a simple, transparent fee that's a percentage of the value of your portfolio. So we do better when you do better.
I feel better already.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com/different. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Now, back to the Justin Kinner Show, right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
937-518-1410. It's the Justin Kinner Show. We are presented by our friends over at Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. We're live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page and the Justin Kinner Show YouTube channel. We opened up, of course, it's really been talked about in a lot of shows, national shows throughout the day, but Bryce Underwood, the overrated quarterback for that cheating team up north, he said it's just another game, just with guys in a different color jersey. You know, that's how I see it. That was Michigan quarterback Bryce Underwood's quote, if you will, his opinion on the game, the rivalry game. And look, I love a good opportunity to dunk on anything Michigan, but I know this sounds kind of crazy, but you know, I feel like we're at the point with this rivalry where I don't think it's overhyped, but I think that we over romanticize it. And when he says something like this, we just want to pile on him because he's the overrated quarterback for that cheating team up north. But I kind of agree with him to a certain extent. You know, I get it. The buildup to Ohio State, Michigan, it's different than any other matchup. So yes, it's that game's different than the other games. Yes. But as far as the significance of that game, the overall, you know, are they a roadblock? Are they in your way? Are they preventing you? This is how I look at teams. All right. This is how I look at situations, especially with the schedule. I try to look at, are you a roadblock? Are these teams, are these particular matchups, or is this team a roadblock for you? Are they going to keep you or prevent you from doing what you ultimately want to set out to do? Right. And I look at Michigan, and as much as I want them to win every year, Ohio State to win every year, even losing to Michigan doesn't prevent you from wanting to accomplish what you want to accomplish. All right. I also don't think Michigan is as good of a program right now as some of the other teams that are on the schedule for Ohio State. I just think that losing to Michigan would be a bad loss. That's why I know losing to Michigan this year, I don't put Michigan in the upper tier of the top Big Ten teams right now. Because if Ohio State loses to Oregon, guess what? It's, man, that sucks. I'm angry that they lost to Oregon, but there's no such thing as good losses. But you understand, if Ohio State loses to Oregon, yeah, I get it. It's Oregon. NFL quarterback, experienced offensive line, NFL weapons all over that defense. Great coach. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. Ohio State loses to Texas. They have a Heisman contending quarterback. Great program. Playoff contender. SEC title contender. Don't want them to lose to Texas. I'll be upset if they lose to Texas, but I would understand if they lose to Texas. And then there's Indiana, right? Great coach. In my opinion, the best coach in the Big Ten. The best coach in college football, in my opinion. Curt Cignetti. I am a Curt Cignetti guy. You lose to Indiana. It sounds stupid and weird. That's how weird college football is nowadays. But you lose to Indiana, very good quarterback, NFL pieces on that defense, solid offensive line, NFL wide receivers. You lose to Indiana, I don't like it, but I get it. You lose to Michigan, that's a bad loss. That's how I know Michigan is not one of the most important games on the schedule this year. You lose to Michigan, you lose to Iowa, you lose to Illinois. By the way, Michigan's good. Illinois is going to be solid. Iowa's always a threat. They're not, playoff favorites by any means. They're not national title favorites by any means, but you can't overlook them. You can't overlook Michigan. You can't overlook Illinois. You can't overlook Iowa. But that will be you lose to Iowa, that's a bad loss. You lose to Illinois, that's a bad loss. You lose to Michigan, that's a bad loss. I don't feel that way about Oregon and Texas and Indiana. USC presents a interesting dilemma because you're playing at USC. It's a historic program. We had Phil Steele on the show. He said this is the best USC team that they've had since, of course, getting Lincoln Riley to be their head coach. So I'm fascinated by that. But I threw out the question a little bit ago, talking about this scenario. I get it. It's Michigan. It's a different vibe and feel, and the build up to that. It's a rivalry game, just like Auburn, Alabama, just like Duke, North Carolina, and basketball. It's the biggest rivalry in all of sports. But at the same time, I'm not going to over romanticize that matchup. with the schedule that Ohio State has this season, all right, and it's a brutal schedule. I think I've talked about this with Phil Steele, Dave Biddle, Paul Keels, anyone that's come on to talk Ohio State. In my opinion, this is the toughest schedule that Ohio State has ever played. And I know it's the toughest schedule that they've ever played because I'm looking all up and down this schedule, and it's not just because they play them last, but there's so many, oh my goodness, moments on this schedule before I even get to that team up north. And I'm not going to over romanticize it. It's the biggest rivalry in sports. I want Ohio State to win. Ohio State needs to win. They should win. They're the better team. They check off way more boxes. And I like Michigan's coach, but that's where it stops. They have an overrated quarterback. The bottom line is Michigan is not Oregon. Michigan is not Indiana, which is crazy to say at this point. Michigan is not Oregon. They're not Indiana. They're not Texas. They're not USC. So I look at this schedule, and I'm like, the three most important games for the Buckeyes this upcoming season, the three most important. All right. I think that Oregon has to be number one, in my opinion. Oregon has to be the number one most important game this season. I think Ohio State, you beat Oregon. Okay. You let the Big Ten know. And I think there's a lot of people that believe Ohio State's the best team in the Big Ten. I don't. I think Ohio State's a national championship contender, but I don't think they're the best team in the Big Ten. I'm rolling with Oregon. And that's not me being anti-Buckeye. I'm not criticizing Ryan Day. I need to see more from Julian Sayin. I do. I don't trust Julian Sayin, to be quite honest with you. I just don't, as of right now. But I look at this scenario. I think Oregon is the best team in the Big Ten. So I think that's the most important game for the Buckeyes this season. You beat Oregon, okay? You beat Oregon. You let all the college football world know you're the face. They're already the face of the Big Ten, but they're the number one team in the Big Ten. The second most important game on the schedule for the Buckeyes this season, to me, is Texas. You can make an argument that Texas is the most important game on the schedule just because of the fact that you need to beat Texas to give you a little bit of leeway come Big Ten play. Because if you lose to Texas, you still have to play at USC. You still have to play Oregon. You still have to play at Indiana. You still have to play that team up north. So if you lose to Texas, you have to win 3 of those 4. And I'm not saying I'm okay with losing any more than that, but you have to win 3 of those 4. You beat Texas, you can afford a loss or 2 in a very, very good Big Ten, the best conference of college football. You could afford a couple losses in Big Ten play. You can't afford 2 losses in Big Ten play and a loss to Texas in non-con, because then you end up being Texas of last year. Texas should not have been punished for losing twice in the SEC. They got punished because of that 3rd loss and because they challenged themselves in the non-con. They should not have been punished, in my opinion. But that's why Texas is such an important matchup to me, is because it gives you a little bit of leeway. You get the primer game early on with Ball State. You get Texas in week 2 on the road. You win that game, it gives you a little bit of a cushion. You could afford to lose to Indiana or Oregon. I don't want that, but it gives you a little bit of damage control if that ends up being the case. So I think Oregon's the number 1 game on the schedule this season. Texas comes in at number 2, and I put Indiana at number 3. And because it's at Indiana, they're the defending national champions. They beat you in the Big Ten championship game last season. All right. After being 12-0 in the regular season, number 1 team in the country, battle of 1 versus 2 in the Big Ten championship game, they punked you. They out-finessed you. They out-physicaled you. They out-coached you. Indiana was the best team in college football last year. So Ohio State, Oregon's the number 1 team, the number 1 matchup on their schedule this season. That one is number 1 to me. Texas is number 2 because you beat Texas. It gives you a little bit more of a leash come Big Ten play. And then there's Indiana, the get-back game, because you're swimming in national championship waters, which means the Oregons, the Texases, the Indianas, those are the teams that Ohio State, it's a heavyweight matchup. Michigan's not in the national championship picture. USC is not in the national championship picture. Iowa, Illinois, all good games. All right, you can't overlook those teams. They can maybe give a little resistance, but stop it. So Michigan, I get it. When Bryce Underwood says it's just another game, although I disagree slightly, just because it's not just another game. It still is the biggest rivalry in all of sports. I just refuse to over-romanticize it like a lot of my listeners do. A lot of you over-romanticize the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. I don't. Ohio State, all right, when you take the cheating away from Michigan, they're nowhere close to being on Ohio State's level, and we've seen it. And we've also seen, even if cheating is not a part of every matchup that they've had in that 4-game losing streak, I've also seen what happens when you over-romanticize it. When you try to put Michigan as the number one most important thing on your goal board, that was a problem. That was a problem. You took your foot off the gas. You weren't paying attention to anything else. It was all about beating that team up north, and you took your foot, you took your eyes off the prize. The prize being national championship, deep playoff runs. That's the prize. I'm sorry. It just is. That's all that matters. I have no problem. If Ohio State loses to Michigan 5 straight years, but is it winning at least 2 national championships and always in the playoffs and winning playoff games, to me, that's all that matters. But this idea that of losing to Michigan is horrible. So is losing to USC. So is losing to Oregon. So is losing to Penn State. Win them all. Win them all. But losing to them is not any worse than losing to any other team out there at the end of the day. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Ryan Strong. Ryan, I hope you're doing well. Ryan Strong says, so again, if you're just tuning in, the 3 most important games on the Buckeye schedule this season, who are they? What are they? Ryan Strong, thank you for listening, by the way. He says Oregon is the number 1 most important game on the schedule this season. I agree. All right. He says Indiana at number 2, Texas at 3. All right. I just asked for 3. Ryan gave me 6. So Oregon 1, Indiana 2, Texas 3 for Ryan Strong. But he also puts USC at 4, Iowa 5, and Michigan coming in at 6. My point with this exercise is, as much as we can't stand Michigan, and as much as I look forward to that rivalry matchup every year, it's different. It feels different. I will never over-romanticize it. I will never pretend that it's on the same platform of winning a Big Ten championship or winning a national championship. Julian Sand was interviewed by Ari Wasserman and company about this exact thing. He was asked about his thoughts on the rivalry with Michigan. Take a listen.
We definitely have goals. We want to beat the team up north. We want to win the Big Ten championship. We want to win the national championship. So it's always those goals, and those goals at Ohio State. You learn very quickly when you get here. You learn the history of that game. You learn how important it is to this state and to this fan base. It becomes your livelihood.
Becomes your livelihood. I disagree. I don't think Michigan becomes your livelihood. Winning a national championship does. Making the playoffs, winning a national championship. Sprinkle in a Big Ten championship in there as well. But I'm sorry, but beating Michigan is not any more important than beating Oregon. Beating Michigan is not any more important than beating Texas this year. And with the way Kurt Signetti has Indiana rolling, I'm sorry, but Michigan is not any more important than Indiana. These are super conferences now, where you're not just playing a couple good teams throughout the season, you're playing a couple national championship contenders. Ohio State could end up, depending on how the rankings shake out as the season progresses. Okay? Ohio State, Texas, top 5 matchup. Ohio State, Oregon is going to be a top 5 matchup. All right? Ohio State, Indiana is going to be a top 5 matchup. Ohio State and possibly USC. I mean, I don't know. By the way, let me look that up real quick. Where did USC come in on the coaches poll? Not that I'm not going to pretend to be a USC aficionado here. But, when you look at the fact that Ohio State, when it's all said and done, when they play at USC, that's going to be after the bye week in late October. USC, depending on where they're at, they could be in the top 5. Ohio State could have 3 to 4 top 5 matchups. USC comes in at number 14 on the top 25 coaches poll. Ohio State, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Ohio State, Indiana, 3 top 5 showdowns right there. USC is going to be a top 10 team by that point unless they spiral to start the season. But they don't play them until late October. But Ohio State could play anywhere between 2 to 3 to 4 top 5 matchups this season alone. Michigan's not even close to that. They won't come anywhere close to that. They just won't. Have you seen the Michigan schedule? They play Oklahoma. They play Oregon. All right, they play Indiana. They play a lot of tough teams too, and they're nowhere close to being as talented as Ohio State. And I just don't see that matchup meaning a whole lot outside of the rivalry talk by the time we get to the tail end of the season. Ohio State, stop over-romanticizing Michigan. You should want to beat them just like Alabama wants to beat Auburn. But right now, Alabama, okay, beating up on Auburn the last couple of years, that's not saving DeBoer's job. What's costing him his job is, not making the playoffs last year, not being the beast of the SEC anymore, all right, not looking like Alabama. That DeBoer has to to save his job, to be the guy, continue to being the guy moving forward, they have to be a top 5 contender. They have to be a national championship contender. They have to be all those things. Right now, I don't know what they are. All right. But hey, no one's saying, but at least they're beating Auburn. So that's all that matters. No, because that sounds stupid. That sounds silly. That sounds ridiculous. That sounds ignorant. And that's how we would sound if we were doing that too. Well, last year, Ohio State, they lost to Indiana and Miami, but who cares? They beat Michigan. No, I really don't care that they beat Michigan. I'm pissed that they lost to Indiana in the Big Ten championship. I'm pissed that we didn't get more than one playoff game out of the Buckeyes last year. No, I'm pissed about that. So stop it. My number one piece of advice to Buckeye fans as we kick off the season here in a few weeks, okay? Stop over-romanticizing the rivalry. Enjoy the rivalry. Circle it on your calendar. But you're delusional if you think it's bigger than anything else. If you're delusional, if you think that the Ohio State-Michigan game this year is bigger than the Oregon game. You're delusional if you think that the Ohio State-Michigan game this season is bigger than Indiana, if it's bigger than Texas. And it may not be bigger. It may not be a bigger game than the USC game. It's not even the third. It's not even in the top 3 of the most important games on the Buckeyes schedule this year. So let's stop over-romanticizing it and stop making this difficult. So I get Julian saying he's saying all the right things. All right, good for him. Bryce Underwood, probably it would have been better if he would have just said, hey, it's very important to beat Ohio State. They got us last year. We want to get them back, but we want to, they got a lot of good teams on the schedule. Like, he could have worded that completely different. But coming out and saying what he said after underperforming the way that he did, after them getting beat by Ohio State last year, it was just a stupid comment to make. You got to lie. Lie. Tell the delusional people out there that over-romanticize this rivalry, just tell them the lies that they want to hear. You don't have to mean it. I don't even think Julian, you heard Julian saying, hey, you learn quickly when you get here, which means you don't have that. Like when Julian saying came to Ohio State, it's not like he had that hatred for Michigan already. All right, he knew about the rivalry, what we know. It's important. You need to beat Michigan. There's going to be a lot of crybaby fans that get upset if you don't. But I think Julian Sayin is also smart enough to understand that, well, I want to beat Michigan, but I kind of hate Oregon too. I kind of hate the cocky Kurt Signetti and the defending national champions. I think this idea that beating Michigan is more important than beating the national title contenders in your division and your conference, I can't get on board with that. I can't agree with anyone out there that says beating Michigan is more important than beating the national title contenders that are in your conference. That's silly to me. Can't get on board with that. I just can't. It's the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers. We'll be right back.
On BritBox, your next hidden gem is right around the corner.
If you're going to be bold, here is the place to do it.
Get ready for Britain's most anticipated series, streaming exclusively on BritBox. Catch new seasons of favourites, including Ludwig, starring David Mitchell.
You want someone to get murdered?
And the eagerly awaited new adaptation of Agatha Christie's iconic detective duo, Tommy and Tuppence.
Do you think we're actually really good at this?
Stream the best of British TV on BritBox. Watch with a free trial.
KTH Parts Industries in St. Paris is now hiring facilities industrial electricians. Do you have this specialized skill? This person must have a 2-year electrical degree or journeyman electrician card, knowledge in industrial electrical equipment, great communication skills, willing to work overtime, weekends, and shutdowns as needed. HVAC or plumbing experience is a plus. KTH offers excellent benefits, including medical, dental, and 401k. Apply today and be valued by a company that sincerely cares about you. Apply online at KTH.net, an equal opportunity employer.
What defines Ohio? A place that dares to go first and never looks back. There's no slowing us down. At Jobs Ohio, our mission is clear: strengthen job opportunities and empower Ohio's workforce. Another reason why Ohio is now ranked the #1 state for business by CNBC. This is what unstoppable feels like. We did it together, Ohio. Our time is now. See Ohio's momentum at jobsohio.com/Ohio's time.
A is for ABS, B is for BCM, C is for CVT, D is for, don't worry, we're not going to quiz you, because at Carroll Works Tire, we know the auto industry is full of acronyms. But here's the one that matters the most: tire. Trust, integrity, reliability, expertise. Carol Wirtz Tire, keeping Dayton rolling from A to Z. Find us online at c-wtire.com or talk to a real human at 937-461-5441.
Raise your hand if you're excited about feeling older faster than you should. No takers? Yeah, didn't think so. Ongoing pain makes you feel older than you are. But here's the good news. QC Kinetic patients here in Dayton are getting relief, feeling younger, jumping back into life full speed, and it didn't happen in an operating room. The QC Kinetic medical professionals use the latest regenerative treatments backed by real science, treatments that take the tiny, powerful healing tools inside your body, concentrate them right where you need relief. That's how Mike is training for a marathon instead of giving up running. Patrick's golf game is on fire again. Kathy walked around Disney with her grandkids. No pain. All real QC Kinetic patients. The sooner you start treatment, the sooner inflammation eases and the sooner joint damage slows down. Because no one signs up for feeling older faster. Find out if you're a candidate for QC Kinetic regenerative treatments. Your visit and consultation is free. 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places. What you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. From budget to the best. From desks to filing cabinets. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to want to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 Mac Oil Avenue in Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Now, back to the Justin Kinner Show, right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
All right, everybody, we are back. It's the Justin Kinner Show here on a Wednesday. Man, this weather, I don't remember the last time we got just pounded like this with thunderstorms. It's one that we've gone through long stretches where we just get rain for days, but the type of storms we got yesterday. Now, I just got back into town early this morning. I was visiting family over in New Mexico. By the way, wild encounter in New Mexico, golfing out there. By the way, you go to New Mexico, I just thought we'd be out in the desert and almost Phoenix vibes. But, it was over in Ruidoso up in the mountains and had, Tennessee type vibe. I had a blast over there, but I've heard of wild horses before. I've never encountered wild horses at a golf course. It was the wildest thing, just seeing a herd of horses. Just seeing a bunch of horses just running over the green, which was not a fan of that, but running through the bunkers. It was just the wildest, most surreal thing I'd ever seen in my life. It was so cool. You walk right up to them. They walk up to you. You could tell they're comfortable around people, whatever, but it was the most unique thing. Elk, wild horses, bears. That was kind of, we golf around here and I get pissed off when there's geese crap everywhere. I saw the biggest pile I'd ever seen in my life. I'm like, that's clearly not from a geese, all right, or from a goose. That's clearly not from geese, right? No, that guy's golfing with that lived there, my cousin, shout out to Ryan. He goes, yeah, that's from a bear. Oh, good to know. Good to know. Ryan, I appreciate you listening. Ryan Strong says delivering in this sucks. Yes, Ryan, you're out there in this weather, thinking about you. Supporter of the show, Ro texted into the hotline during the commercial break, welcoming me back. I know he's listening while he's out delivering mail as well. Not fun weather for you guys. Not fun. Don't envy you right now. Nonetheless. All right, we welcome you back again. It's the Justin Kinner Show. A lot of Ohio State talk today, college football talk, Ohio State, Michigan. We know it's the biggest rivalry in all of sports. You guys know my take on this for years. I remember years ago, my problem with Ryan Day, I wish I remembered what year, and put in the chat, what year did Ohio State play Georgia in the semifinals? Was that 2023? I think it was 23. It was 23 or 24. I can't remember. But either way, Ohio State, they lost to Michigan for the third straight year, and they had a chance. They still got to the playoffs. You lost to Michigan, but you got to the playoffs. And they get to the playoffs, and their offense was phenomenal. I mean, Georgia, the national champions, right? Georgia could not stop Ohio State. The problem was Ohio State couldn't stop Georgia. And that's all I kept thinking about. And then watching Georgia go on to just dismantle TCU in the national championship game, I just couldn't get over it. I couldn't get over watching Georgia just dismantle them because all I could think about the whole time was that should have been Ohio State. That could have been Ohio State. Ohio State gets one more stop. And that's all I thought about the whole time is, man, Ohio State missed out on a national championship. And not because they lost to Michigan. They missed out on a national championship because they couldn't get one stop against Georgia. That's why they didn't win a national championship. They made the playoffs while losing to Michigan. They were an offensive juggernaut against Georgia, even while losing to Michigan. They had a chance to get to the national championship game and would have won a national championship game, even with losing to Michigan. So Michigan is like a gnat, a flea. They're a fly that keeps buzzing around your face. They're annoying, but it's not preventing you from doing what you ultimately want to do. You sit out around a campfire, you want to enjoy your time outside, but man, the mosquitoes and the bugs and the gnats, and they just keep irritating you. You're not going to go inside, but they're irritating you. That's Michigan. They're not preventing you from having a good time. They're not preventing you from doing what you wanted to set out to do. They're annoying. Georgia not being able to get one stop against Georgia is why they lost the national championship. I bring that up because, that offseason, Ryan Day was doing an interview and they asked Ryan Day, which loss keeps you up at night more, losing to Michigan for the third straight year or the Georgia loss? And Ryan Day went on this long soliloquy about how the Michigan loss, that he hasn't slept, that he's having a hard time keeping food down, that it's all he thinks about. He's consumed by Michigan. And I'm like, I know what you're doing. You're trying to say the right thing, but I'm actually more offended by that than anything. Because losing to Michigan did not prevent you from winning a national championship. Not being able to beat Georgia did. Losing to Michigan didn't prevent you from doing a damn thing. Not being able to get one single solitary stop against Georgia was the problem. Missing the kick at the end of regulation was the problem. So that, to me, I remember when Ryan Day did that because I was so angry. I'm like, and if that really truly is what he believes, then Ohio State is screwed. Because if all it truly really is about Michigan, I'm going to have a hard time remaining a fan moving forward. And I know that puts me in the corner. That puts me in timeout with a lot of you Buckeye fans. But Ohio State's standards are too high to only be about one game. Ohio State doesn't have the resources that they have. They don't have the history that they do. They don't have the players that they have. They don't have they don't have all the stuff that they have to not care about national championships. And you could say, well, we care about national. No. I mean, care about it more than anything else. You're a liar if you truly believe that beating Michigan is more meaningful than anything else. You're a liar. And if you believe that, you're delusional. So you're either a liar or you're delusional. That's it. Those are the only two things you are. You're lying or you're delusional. It's as simple as that. Because Ryan Day was full of it in that interview when he said, I haven't slept. I'm consumed with beating Michigan. That's all I think about is beating Michigan. I'm sure you think about it. I'm sure it makes you sick losing to Michigan. I'm sure it sucks. Just like any other sport, any other team that loses to their rival. It's annoying. We're going to kick off high school football next week. Okay, we always kick off the high school football season with my favorite rivalry in town, the Battle of Kettering. All right, Alter and Fairmont. All right, Alter and Fairmont both have goals of winning state championships this year. And Fairmont has had a lot of success. Historically, Alter has done very, very well in that rivalry. Recent history, Fairmont has held their own. And more than held their own. I mean, they have forced Alter to play their game. Like Fairmont has done a phenomenal job of turning that around. But the ultimate goal, they want to beat Alter. Alter wants to beat Fairmont, but Alter wants to win a state championship. Fairmont wants to win a state championship. Right now, that's all they're thinking about is each other because that's who they kick off the season against. But I'm here to tell you, as much as they hate one another, and I use hate loosely, I know in high school sports, but as much as the communities and the rivalry that's entrenched in it, as much as both sides can't stand one another, by week 4 and 5, they forgot all about it because it's all about What's next? What's next? There's bigger things ahead. There's bigger matchups. There's GWalk championships. There's GCL championships. There's playoffs. There's, advancing in the playoffs. There's state championships. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Ultra Fairmont, the Battle of Kettering, it's a phenomenal rivalry. No doubt. But if you actually think that both of those schools, all that matters is that we beat Ultra. All that matters is that we beat Fairmont. Stop it. It doesn't work like that in any rivalry. But you want me to believe that that's how it works in Ohio State, Michigan? No. Nope. I look at Ohio State's schedule this year, and I'm excited for Ohio State, Michigan. I can't wait. But if I had to rank my game, the schedule based on excitement, there's so many games ahead of the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry this season that I can't look at Michigan and say, oh, that's the most important game. It's just not. It is not. Because if all you guys care about is Michigan, then don't tune into the Texas game. Don't you dare call into the show being excited about that. I don't want to hear your opinion if Ohio State loses to Oregon. Hey, I know they lost to Oregon, but who cares? They still got Michigan. Could you believe they went to USC and lost? What the hell's going on, Ryan Day? Hey, leave Ryan Day alone. He beat Michigan last year. And there's a chance to make it back-to-back. That's all that matters, right? Oh, man. Even though they punched Oregon in the mouth in the Rose Bowl 2 years ago, I can't believe they lost to them. USC losing there. Texas, my goodness. The SEC, great. That's all we're going to hear about is the SEC bragging about being Ohio State. Who cares? All that matters is Michigan, right? Who cares if you lose to Texas? No big deal, right? Who cares? All that matters is Michigan. Nah, it matters. Who cares if you lose to Kurt Signetti in Indiana 2 straight years? By the way, because there's a lot of weird stuff that can happen. Like Ohio State, the Big Ten is Ohio State's. But let's be real. What happens if Indiana, coming fresh off of an undefeated national championship season, what happens if they beat Ohio State? What week do they play them? It's pulled up right now for you guys to see. All right. Ohio State at Indiana. That's going to be in mid-October. Okay? What happens if you lose another top 5 showdown against Indiana, the defending, reigning national champions? What happens if you lose that? I mean, you're not going to you're going to start having people start to view Indiana as the face of the Big Ten, as ridiculous as that sounds. And I don't mean ridiculous in a disrespectful way. Indiana would kind of deserve it. Indiana's the best story in college football right now. But if they would beat the face of the Big Ten, and I think it's Ohio State, but if they beat the face of the Big Ten twice in back-to-back top 5 showdowns, I would have to agree with those people that would say that. There's a lot riding on the line for that Ohio State-Indiana matchup. Ohio State-Oregon. I think Oregon is the best team in the Big Ten right now. Maybe Indiana. Some say Ohio State. I think it's Oregon. I think they're the most experienced roster in the Big Ten. So what happens if you lose to them? What happens if you lose to Texas? There's a lot of teams, and I always look at it this way. If Ohio State loses to a certain team, what's the fallout of that? There's fallout if you lose to Indiana. There's you're not the top team in the Big Ten if you lose to Oregon. You're not the face of the Big Ten anymore if you lose to Indiana. That's why those are so important to me. You lose to Oregon, no one views you as the top team in the Big Ten. You lose to Indiana, you're no longer the face of the Big Ten. That sounds crazy, but think about it. That'd be back-to-back losses against Indiana in a top 5 showdown. You lost to them in the Big Ten championship game last year, and then you go to Indiana and you lose there again. You lose to Oregon, you're no longer viewed as the best team in the Big Ten. You lose to Indiana, you're no longer the face of the Big Ten. You lose to Texas, you lose to an SEC school. Now you're being questioned about Julian Sain. You're being questioned about that. You lose to Michigan. It's annoying. Right? It's annoying. You hate it. But you know what? Give me the playoffs, baby. It's on to the playoffs. It's on to the Big Ten championship game. It's on to the playoffs. It's on to hopefully a national championship. Of all the ramifications coming out of a loss to Michigan has the least ramifications of all the potential losses and landmines on the schedule. You lose to Oregon, you lose a lot. You lose to Indiana, you lose a lot. You lose to Texas, you lose a lot. You lose to Michigan, it's annoying. It's annoying, but what are the ramifications of losing that? You're going to have a lot of people pissed off. I get it, but you're not out anything. You're not out anything at the end of the day. Either way. All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show. 937-518-1410. Text or call. Man, oh man. I'm ready for college football to be here. I love the college football conversations. I just hate that we don't kick off for another, it's the 12th today, 2.5, 3 weeks, getting closer and closer. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Oh, my house needs some help. It needs a new roof, new windows, and siding if I can afford it. I just don't know who to call. Your house is updated and looks so nice. Who does your work?
Buckeye Home Services does all my work. Their prices are affordable and they do a great job. Call 586-6600 for a free estimate. Buckeye does roofing, siding, gutters, leaf guards, windows, doors, patio covers, even kitchens and baths.
Sounds like they're the ones to call. What's that number again?
Buckeye Home Services, 586-6600.
Hi, I'm Shannon Crabtree from Mike Foley's Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Office. Do you need something notarized? We've got you covered. Our Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Office offers an online notary service that's secure, fast, and free. This service does require a camera. Next time you need a notary, go to courthouse2u.com and click on notary. It's another convenient service of your Clerk of Courts, Mike Foley, and his national award-winning Courthouse to You programming.
Dayton's radio home for Buckeyes football. 1410 WING. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Flood warning until 8 o'clock tonight. Flood watch until 11 p.m. We'll see showers and storms and patchy fog 67 overnight. Patchy fog and thunderstorms 85 tomorrow. Friday, showers and 86. I'm Rick Schrepp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at ColumbusEquipment.com.
I've had a number of surgeries, and frankly, I don't have time to rehab a surgery and an operation at this point in my life. I didn't want to take time off my kids' activities.
That's why former college and pro football player Bobby Carpenter turned to QC Kinetics. We couldn't be happier saving our patients like him from operating rooms and long recoveries.
They will resume like normal activity for me, which is a lot of running. It's a lot of workouts. I've been very, very blessed with how it's been able to hold up.
For so long, patients have accepted surgery as the only solution. But with new technologies, the medical professionals at QC Kinetics use regenerative treatments, your body's own biologics, to help heal and restore knees, hips, shoulders, and backs.
I actually ran into a friend of mine over at our golf course, and he had his knee done. It felt so well. He'd got his shoulder done. He goes, I can't thank you enough. He'd heard the commercial on the air, and so it's feeling great.
Find out how you can avoid surgery and finally get relief. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Sprained wrist, ankle twist, broken thumb, can't make a fist, busted knee, surgery, that patch of ice you didn't see.
Where pain starts, Jernavix suzetrigine begins. Jernavix is a non-opioid 50 milligram prescription tablet for adults with moderate to severe acute pain that reduces pain signals before they reach the brain.
Tendon tear, nose repair, tripping on that broken stair, dislocation, operation, moped crash while on vacation.
Do not take Jernavix with CYP3A inhibitors. Avoid use with grapefruit or liver problems, as these may increase side effects. Tell your doctor about all your medicines if you are pregnant or breastfeeding. Jernavix may make certain medicines and birth control less effective. Side effects include itching, muscle spasms, rash, and elevated muscle enzymes.
Joint displacement, knee replacement, fell on marbles in the basement, ladder slip, broken hip, that rock climb where you lost your grip.
To learn more about Jernavix, ask your doctor. Call 1-833-589-PAIN or visit Jernavix.com.
Onyx, I keep having stomach issues. Please make me a doctor's appointment.
Okay, are you suffering from diarrhea, bloating, gas, or oily stools? If so, you may want to ask your doctor if it could actually be a problem with your pancreas, called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI.
My pancreas? How is EPI treated?
A prescription medicine like Creon, pancrelipase, is used to treat people who can't digest food normally because their pancreas doesn't make enough enzymes. Creon is the #1 prescribed treatment for EPI.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you are allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon. You can learn more at 1-800-633-9110.
Before your appointment, visit creoninfo.com. That's CREON info.com.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $3 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Do you need legal help? We can help. Hi, this is Shannon Crabtree representing Mike Foley from the Montgomery County Clerk of Court's office. Our mobile help center outreach team sets up at partner locations at designated times each month with informative self-help brochures that can assist you with some of life's most difficult legal and social issues. Check our website to see when we're in your neighborhood. That's courthouse2you.com. It's all part of Mike Foley's national award-winning Courthouse to You programming.
Sleep falling short? Visit Mattress Firm today. Their sleep experts will find you the right bed at an unbeatable price during the best sale of the year. They make sleep easy.
What defines Ohio? A place that dares to go first and never looks back. There's no slowing us down. At Jobs Ohio, our mission is clear: strengthen job opportunities and empower Ohio's workforce. Another reason why Ohio is now ranked the #1 state for business by CNBC. This is what unstoppable feels like. We did it together, Ohio. Our time is now. See Ohio's momentum at jobsohio.com/Ohio's time.
Upgrade to a new quality bath remodel in less time with minimal inconvenience and for less money with Bath Creations in as little as 2 days. We do it right. There are a lot of others boasting about bath remodels these days. Well, Bath Creations' expert craftsmanship and customer service speaks for itself. Plus, all first responders, veterans, and active military will save an additional $500 off your purchase. Visit our beautiful showroom at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton or at mybathcreations.com and upgrade your new bath today.
Save big on your landscaping project at Menards. Whether you're looking for edgers, pavers, or wall blocks, Menards has the largest in-stock selection of concrete landscape block ready to take home today. Build a beautiful border for your landscape with our interlock edgers on sale now through August 16th. Save big on landscape block at Menards. Also, check out our weekly flyer on menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Now, back to the Justin Kinner Show, right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Well, with me being out, I really wasn't able to weigh in on the entire Hunter Green situation. Reds back in action tonight. They had one heck of an exciting game yesterday, and that come from behind win to beat the White Sox. They were down 4-0 early, and they come all the way back to win 5-4. They rally late. They beat the White Sox 5-4 in extras. And, Ellie De La Cruz, he drives in, Matt McClain with the sacrifice fly, in the top of the 10th. And the Reds snapped that 3-game skid with the 5-4 comeback win over the White Sox. What a horrific national series. What a horrific series to be swept the way that they did, losing 5-3, 8-2, and 7-1. They bounced back well against the first place, White Sox team. We'll see what they, Rhett Lauder's on the mound tonight. We'll see how they bounce back again tonight. But they're 57-61. They're 5.5 back of a playoff spot. I had Shaw and some others mocking me while I'm trying to enjoy time with my family, saying, this is the team that you said, blah, blah, blah. Yes. Because, and I don't know why I always got to give this disclaimer out there. But, today is what? What is today? The 12th? Yeah, it's the 12th. Right? And I do a show daily. And all my opinions are generated with information based up to current time. All right. And I can give an opinion on what I think is going to happen. All right. But I'm also talking about in the now. And Shaw is constantly talking about how, well, I don't care that they're mathematically in it. There's no way that they're going to do blah, blah, blah. Way. We were saying the same thing last year. This team was 5 games out with 3 weeks to go in the season last year, and they came back and made the playoffs. This isn't a great team. I don't know why I got to keep saying that. All right. This team's not winning a World Series, but as you guys know, it is tough to make the playoffs in Major League Baseball. It is tough to make the playoffs when you have ownership that doesn't financially invest into the roster. All right. It is tough when you damn near have to be perfect. And when you're the Cincinnati Reds, because your margin for error is so slim. This team is not great. But guess what? Either are the rest of the teams in the wild card picture. As bad as the Reds got swept by the Nationals. And guess what happened? They lost a game in the standings. That's how bad the rest of the wild card picture is. The Nationals won 3 straight over the Reds, and the Reds dropped 1 game in the standings. 1 game. The Reds have flaws, but so do the Nationals. So do the Pirates, who are free falling, by the way. All right, the Mets are out of it. We know that. All right, you continue to look up and down, and for those who are hanging out with me on YouTube and on Facebook, here's how the standings are shaking out right now in the wild card. There you have it. All right. The Marlins 2 games above 500. The Cardinals are at 500. Padres, 7 games above 500. The Diamondbacks, so you continue to look up and down how all that's shaken out, right? The bottom line is the Reds are bad, but so are all the teams around them. All right. The Nationals have lost 6 of their last 10. 3 of those wins, though, are against the Reds. No doubt about it. All right. But the Reds they've won 6 of their last 10. All right. You look at the Marlins, you look at the Padres, the Diamondbacks, they're 5-5 in their last 10. Like, there's just so much average in this picture. So I'm pissed off about what happened against the Nationals, but I like the way that they bounced back last night against the White Sox, and we'll see what they do with Rhett Lauder on the mound tonight. But the Pirates are free falling. All right. Outside of the National success against the Reds, I mean, they turned right around after taking 3 against the Reds, and they lost their very next game. So look, the Reds are mathematically still the playoff picture. Nothing Shaw says to me is going to change that, because it's not an opinion. They are mathematically in the playoff picture. And they continue to be. And until they're mathematically out of it, I'm going to continue to talk about the Reds as if they have a shot, because we did this last year. There was so much doom and gloom. There's no way. There's no this. There's no that. 5 games back with 3 weeks to go in the season last year, and the Reds made the playoffs. So do with that what you will. Okay. But the Hunter Green news, I never know how to talk about injuries with players, because it is tough. And I'm a fan. So my initial reaction when I read the Hunter Green news is, and this is wrong, by the way, I'm admitting I was wrong on this. I was so pissed off at Hunter Green. I was so annoyed with Hunter Green. Oh, I was just so annoyed with Hunter Green. And that's messed up on my part, right? And I think that's messed up on your guys' part too, if you're like that. But I do think that it's okay to feel that and at least acknowledge it and try to move on. I'm not. I think it's just so tough, because the Reds, you get only a handful of really good players, and those really good players have to be perfect. When you look at the Dodgers and the Yankees, and hell, even the Red Sox, who were the worst team in baseball to start the season and the hottest team in baseball now, they have so much more. They have so much more leash with their rosters. The Dodgers losing 100 Green wouldn't be a big deal. The Yankees, the Red Sox, you know what I mean? A lot of these teams, you lose 100 Green, no big deal. it's a big deal to the Reds. So, I hear Lance McAllister and others who, and Mo, and, I always, follow their content as well. And they always bring up, like, they just don't understand why so many Reds fans are angry at Hunter Green. And it's not so much Hunter Green. We saw the same thing with Joey Votto. I did it with Joey Votto. Because there's so little heavy hitters with the Reds, whether it be in the lineup or the rotation, I just mean in general on the roster. We put way more on their shoulders than most teams would. Hunter Green has to carry a lot more of a heavy load for the Reds than he would for the Yankees or Dodgers or whatever. I mean, Shohei Ohtani, he's a little roughed up right now with his arm, but that's okay. They just shut him down from pitching, and he's able to just comfortably play elsewhere, and it doesn't really impact the Dodgers. Him being out off the mound doesn't impact the Dodgers. No Hunter Green for the Reds is going to impact the Reds. So I found myself mad at Hunter Green. But it is frustrating. The guy is always on the IL, always. He has not spent one season with the Reds where he has not spent at least 1 month. And guess what? This is the type of injury that is going to extend that streak. He's probably going to be on the IL to start next season. This is a tough go of it. It's not Hunter Green's fault, but it is frustrating. The Joe Burrow stuff. Now, a lot of you have a cult-like love affair with Joe Burrow, which I've always said is creepy and weird with you guys. Like, it's a cult following for him. But I do believe that the national media and everyone who loved Joe Burrow on this, and it's not that they don't love him anymore, but I do believe Joe Burrow is one significant injury away from a lot of people just stepping away and saying, okay, enough's enough, Joe. Same thing with Hunter Green. Hunter Green, we know you're talented. You're a top 10 pitcher in baseball. Joe Burrow, we know you're talented. You're maybe the most talented quarterback in the NFL. But you're never reliable. Your teams are constantly playing catch up. Your team, by the way, like Joe Burrow and Hunter Green, the Reds have a chance to be a playoff contender and make the playoffs because of what he brings to the table. The Bengals have a chance to be a playoff contender and be a Super Bowl contender every year because of what he brings to the table. Both teams struggle because of what they also bring to the table, which is, they're not reliable. Both teams have a shot because of Hunter Green and because of Joe Burrow. Both teams struggle, though, because of Hunter Green and Joe Burrow. No consistency. And even when Hunter Green's out there still fighting through injuries, Joe Burrow, a lot of times you guys try to get me and say, Joe Burrow, he hasn't missed as many games as what you say. I'm like, well, physically, sometimes when he's out there, he's not out there. How many times has he started the season where they've had to just hand the ball off so many times because he's not able to throw the ball 5 yards forward? I mean, he's always hurt. All right. And this isn't a bash Joe Burrow, bash Hunter Green segment. My point is we start to get so frustrated and blame these guys as if they're out there purposely getting hurt. But I was pissed off, man. I was pissed off. And I feel bad that I, pissed off at Hunter Green. It's not his fault. But, man, where do you direct that anger towards? I don't know. What's the right way, But I was angry when that Hunter Green news came out. It's not his fault, but I was angry. I don't know whose fault it is, though. Who do you get mad at? That's what I want to know. Because I felt guilty. I'm like, man, I don't know why we're getting mad at these players as if they're choosing to get hurt. But at the same time, like, be healthy, man. Like, it's your job. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's the right way to approach that when it's all said and done. But this is exactly why, at the end of the day, I was a believer in the Reds needing to trade Hunter Green. I do believe his stock is plummeted. And for everyone out there that was like, oh, why didn't the Reds move on from Brady Singer and trade him? I think that this is why. I think there was multiple reasons. I think that the Reds kept Brady Singer at the deadline because they didn't want to, because they probably had a feeling that something was up with Hunter Green, one, and two, if the playoff picture does start to dwindle even more, I do believe they're going to shut down Chase Burns. I'm fascinated by what they're going to do with Chase Burns. In fact, when is old Chasey up? Chasey had a horrific game the other day. And I do believe that Chase Burns is kind of pitching to remain pitching for the rest of the season, if that makes sense. Chase Burns got lit up against the Nationals, right? I think if Chase Burns has another bad game against Miami this Friday, I think we could be seeing the final start or two of Chase Burns. If Chase Burns gets hit again hard on Friday, I think that's going to be the front office looking at it saying, all right, his arm's starting to wear down. He's starting to, you know what I mean? So I do believe that if he has another bad game on Friday, I think we could see the end of Chase Burns. Not the end of Chase Burns, but I could see them shutting him down for this season. as far as that goes. Nolan, by the way, 937-518-1410. Nolan is listening to the show. He texted in and said, I blame the Reds medical staff. I think that's an easy thing to say. I don't know what the medical staff does. I mean, a lot of times these athletes go out and get second opinions. And more times than not, the second opinion matches the initial opinion of Reds medical. So I know what you're saying because I do that as well. I blame him. Like, what is wrong? Now, my criticism, and I don't know if this is Reds medical. I don't know if this was a Terry Francona. I don't know if it was a Reds front office decision. But, and for Lodolo, yeah, Nolan says, and for Lodolo. But the handling of Hunter Green does need to be discussed a little bit more. If you guys remember, Hunter Green was fantastic last year, right? But the final couple starts, he really didn't look like himself. And then we all know what happened against the Dodgers in the playoffs, right? And then some stuff came out after that, that many believed he was tipping his pitches. And then it was just very silent for the offseason. I had Hunter Green on the show around Reds Fest in late January, right? And everything was fine. In fact, when Hunter Green did my show in January, he came directly to my show from the ballpark where he was doing a throwing session. So he was throwing in January, and there was no inkling out there that anything was wrong, right? Then all of a sudden, fast forward to a week or two before spring training, and voila, all of a sudden, Hunter Green has to have a procedure because he was feeling stinging pains in his throwing arm, in his elbow. And I'm like, okay, typical Reds luck. That sucks. But then there was more to the story. That Hunter Green was experiencing stinging pains in his throwing elbow that had dated back to the tail end of the previous season. There's a quote out there where he said he had felt it for the final 4 to 5 starts of the season, including the start against the Dodgers. He had just been feeling this stinging pain in his throwing elbow, and that the Reds knew it. The Reds knew it. They continued to throw him out there, which I get, playoffs, blah, 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 okay. But the fact that once they get knocked out of the playoffs, no one ever revisited that. No one thought that, hey, that stinging pain you're experiencing in your throwing elbow, maybe we should get that looked at right now so that if surgery is required, you can heal up, from November through January, February, March of spring training, and not have a procedure done at the beginning of spring training and then say, well, we'll see you hopefully around the All-Star break. And yeah, like I don't know if that's Reds medical, Terry Francona, Reds front. I don't know who to point the finger at, Nolan, because I agree with you. I naturally always blame medical as well. But I don't know, like is the Bengals medical responsible for Joe Burrow being soft as baby poo? I have no clue. Joe Burrow has always been injured. Think about it. Dwayne Haskins won the starting job at Ohio State. Why? Well, for one, he was the better quarterback at that time. He was the better quarterback. He was better. But the reason Joe Burrow didn't get a full shot to beat out Dwayne Haskins for the job is because guess what? He was sidelined. He was hurt. Joe Burrow has always had injury issues going all the way back to his stint at Ohio State. He didn't even have a full shot at winning the starting job at Ohio State because he was too hurt to compete for the starting job. So is it Bengals medical that's the problem? Well, Joe Burrow's always been soft as baby poo. All right. You look at Hunter Green. Hunter Green has been hurt every step of the way. Is that Reds medical or is that just Hunter Green? Is it Bengals medical or is it just Joe Burrow? Sometimes I think it's just the athletes themselves. But I get why you question the Reds medical because you look at the Nick Lodolos and you just look at these weird injury situations that happen so often. It's like, man, but it is frustrating. It is frustrating at the end of the day. So I don't know what to make of this thing, but I think that the Reds have mishandled Hunter Green, which I think could be why we might see the end of Chase Burns after Friday, because I think they're going to be a little skittish now. They mishandled Hunter Green. Damn it if they're going to mishandle Chase Burns. So if Chase Burns has a bad outing on Friday night, I could see them wrapping that up. I could see them shutting him down for the season. Who knows? Who knows? It's the Justin Kinner Show here on a rainy Wednesday. The Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. We're going to talk. Let's pick up with this Ohio State conversation again. I want to talk about that because if you're just jumping back into the show. The three biggest matchups on Ohio State's schedule. Who are the three biggest matchups on the schedule this year for Ohio State? We discussed this earlier in the show, mainly because, all the talk about Bryce Underwood and calling the Ohio State-Michigan game just another game. It's a rivalry game. It's the number one rivalry in sports, but I have a hard time over-romanticizing that rivalry like a lot of you do. I don't, it's the biggest rivalry in sports, but I don't even think it's Ohio State's biggest game of the season. I don't even think it's in the top three biggest games of the season for Ohio State this year. So that's how we got into the conversation. But your top three matchups for Ohio State this season, rank them. The biggest matchup of the season, second and third biggest matchup of the season. Is Michigan, do they fall? Does that rivalry matchup, does that matchup fall in category 1, 2, or 3? It doesn't for me. I think that the Oregon game, the Indiana game, the Texas game, hell, USC. I think that those 3-4 games right there are all way bigger than the Ohio State-Michigan game this upcoming season. Agree or disagree? 937-518-1410. We'll be right back.